So, last week I was digging through this old trunk my mother keeps. You know the kind, right? It's just full of old bedding and clothes, things we put away and pull out when we need them. And as I was sifting through all these layers of fabric, my hand just brushed against something. And I realized it was my old wallet. And you won't believe what was inside. This 50 rupee note. It's so old and worn out. And right there on it, someone had written in pen, "First prize, 50 rupees, thank you, Baba." And just like that, I was smiling. It all came flooding back to me. This note, my father gave it to me 15 years ago. I just got in first place in my midterm exams, and my dad, he was just so proud. He gave me this. And back then, it felt like a fortune. I remember promising myself, like any good kid would, that I would never, ever spend it. I'd keep it right there in the front of my wallet, just as a memory. But you know how it is? Over time, it just kind of became one of those forgotten, sweet memories. Until now. As I was standing there holding that faded old note, this really strange question just popped into my head. Is this 50 rupees, is it really the same as 50 rupees today? I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? But the more I thought about it, the more complicated the answer seemed to be. I started remembering stories my father used to tell me about how this exact amount, 50 rupees, was once enough to cover a whole month's expenses for someone. And today, today you can barely get a single kilogram of onions with it. How on earth is that possible? What kind of weird magic trick is going on here? What is this invisible force that's just melting away the strength of our money? Well, this so-called magic actually has a name, and trust me, it's not magic at all. It's much more like a disease. The name of this disease is inflation. And to put it really simply, inflation is what happens when so much money gets printed that its value just plummets. It's the reason my father's 50 rupee gift isn't worth what it used to be. Let me try to explain it with a little story. So imagine you get all your groceries on credit from a local shop, and the shopkeeper keeps track of everything you owe him in a little notebook. Before you know it, every single page in that notebook is full. The shopkeeper tells you, "Sorry, no more credit until you pay off what you owe." So to solve the problem, what do? You just go buy a new notebook with fresh, empty pages. You feel pretty good, right? The writing can continue, but here's the thing you're ignoring. Your income is exactly the same. Your situation hasn't actually improved one bit. All you've done is create an illusion, and that is exactly what printing more money is. It's an illusion that doesn't solve the real problem. But we're not talking about a simple notebook here. We're talking about the system that runs the livelihood of an entire nation. It's a cheap trick that literally cuts the lifeline of the most vulnerable people in our society. Because when inflation really takes hold, the effects are absolutely devastating. I mean, have you ever stopped to think about who really gets hurt the most? It's the laborer, the guy who works hard all month only to find out his paycheck is suddenly worth half of what it was. It's the widow, trying to survive on a fixed pension, who sees her careful budget completely fall apart. It's basically anyone on a fixed income who has to just sit and watch their money get thinner and thinner every single day. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Inflation is a silent thief. It creeps in and eats away at your savings while you're asleep. It steals the value of all your hard work, and it just slaughters your dreams against this backdrop of constantly rising prices. Now, here's the crazy part. This isn't like an earthquake or hurricane. It's not a natural disaster. Nope. It is the direct result of decisions that people make. It happens when governments print just massive amounts of currency to cover their spending, or when banks flood the whole market with easy loans. All of a sudden, you have way more money chasing the same amount of stuff. And the result is inevitable, right? Prices for everything just shoot through the roof. And maybe the most painful part of this whole thing is how unfair it is. The wealthy, well, they can protect themselves. They can turn their cash into property or gold or stocks. But what about everyone else? For them, there's just nowhere to hide. So, standing there, holding that old 50 rupee note from my dad, I had to ask myself, what can any of us really do against this silent thief? Are we just completely helpless? And the answer is no, we are not helpless. We absolutely can fight back. But it all starts with understanding what causes this disease in the first place, and then finding a way forward. So first things first, we have to demand accountability from the people in power. We have to start asking those hard questions like, hey, why are you printing so much money? Where are our resources actually going? Second, we have to be smarter in our own lives. That means cutting back on wasteful spending and really making a habit of saving wherever we can. It's about taking care of our own financial health. And third, and this is so important, we have to remember that a strong economy isn't some magic trick. It's built on hard work and production and justice. The real solution isn't printing more paper, it's creating more real value in the world. Looking at that old note from my father, I realized something. We don't really have a choice here. We have to face this. There is simply no other way. Because if we don't, the same thing is just going to keep happening over and over again. This terrifying monster that we call inflation will show up, it'll dig its bloody claws into our necks, it'll suck our fresh blood, and it'll just spread poverty everywhere. And that right there is a price that none of us can afford to pay.